This is Fountain Pendulum, and in this video I have for you, as of October 2023, my fountain pen collection. So I've been wanting to do a video like this for quite some time, but I have always needed to have all my pens together, and then I also wanted to ink them with Waterman's Serenity Blue to kind of get a even across the board writing sample of how they all perform compared to each other. So most of them are inked with Waterman's Serenity Blue, with a few exceptions. So let's get into it. So I've got a Clairefontaine 90 GSM notebook that I'm going to be using for the writing samples. That's just a notebook I have on hand and that I have plenty of pages to use up on. So first of all, I have I'm going to go in order of what I've gotten first or had the longest. Now, I will disclaim too that these are my, I'd say, regularly used fountain pens. So I'm omitting like this Schaefer calligraphy pen that I have, a Parker 45 that's out of commission, my Pilot Plumix, and my Pilot 6mm Parallel, because those aren't really fountain pens that I use, although I do own them. So I'm disclosing to that to you right now. So yes, the Pilot Falcon. This is in resin, and it came with a soft fine nib. It now has a customization done to it. So let's do a writing sample. So black resin. Let me zoom in a little bit. And so this was a soft fine. And it is now a crisp, cursive, italic with a reverse oblique and added flex. So the feed is a plastic feed, so it doesn't keep up with the flex very well. I feel like it used to do better, but I'll usually, like, if I can, flood the feed if I'm going to do some large writing with flex. But I really enjoy this. Grind was done by Masuyama. Sorry about that. It was out of ink. So I refilled it and flooded the feed. So while it's nice and wet, let me do a little flexing. So while it's saturated, it keeps up really nicely and it gives a good amount of flex. But unfortunately, once the feed is not completely saturated, it will railroad. But it seems to be keeping up nicely here. So I enjoy this customization a lot. The Falcon nib has a very unique shape to it, and you can see that crispness on the nib there too. So really enjoy that one. When I first got it is the soft fine. It's soft. It doesn't have much flex to it. Okay, next I have a Pilot Vanishing Point in matte black. So these are quite heavy pens because the body is all brass. Unlike the Decimo, which is aluminum. This has a SU, which is a stub, 18 karat. I think I failed to mention that about the Falcon. It's a 14 karat nib. So I had quite a few issues with this nib when I first got it. I think it might have been over polished or something. I had it tuned by Matthew Chen. It's improved, but stubs are just not really my thing anymore. I'm really much more into italics nowadays. So I see myself either trading this or I've been actually planning on getting a extra fine nib insert for this, or potentially even grinding the stub into an italic. So those are the plans I have for the Vanishing Point. Next, I have this Montblanc 221. So this is from the 90s. And it has a very unique nib. It's kind of curved. This is in a fine, and this is also a 14C. Maybe this was from the 70s, actually. I'll have to check that out. I love the inlaid nib, it's very beautiful. And see that curvature to the nib at the tip there? Originally I was going to have this ground into a italic, but then when I got familiar with the nib, I thought, no, that would be a shame to do that to this beautiful, unique in-house nib. So I've kept it just as is. All right, let me go to the next page here. So next I have my very favored Stipula Etruria Volterra. Stipula is the brand, Etruria is the model, Vetta is the celluloid that it's made from. And on this, it has a 1.3 millimeter 18 karat gold, and it's a dual tone nib. It's very lovely. And this came with a italic, but I've had it since ground. This is now a crisp italic with a reverse oblique. And Masuyama did the grind for me on this. It's very smooth, especially considering it's a crisp italic. So I really enjoy this nib a lot. Of course, being a 1.3, it's not really a nib that is, you know, an everyday writer, but it's very enjoyable. reverse is kind of scratchy. So that's for this one. Now I also have another nib that goes in this. I did my research and found that these nibs on the Stipula Etruria are interchangeable. So it's a number 6 block. So I got myself another nib. Which I'm glad, because now this is a good everyday writer. This is a titanium flex, and it's actually a Stipula nib. So this originally came as a medium or a fine medium, and I had Masuyama grind it down to an extra fine. That's just a nib size that I enjoy more, and did a very nice job. So the titanium offers a moderate flex. It's not a beast, and I can really push this quite a bit, but I am happy with how it's aligned, so I try not to do that because I want to maintain the ink flow and the integrity of the titanium nib. But that's a little bit of what it can accomplish. Okay, next. My Pelikan. This is a old style vintage. Brown Tortoise striped celluloid. I have videos on these pens also, if you want to see something more in depth. This is the old style nib. Plastic feed, unfortunately not the ebonite. So this is the M400, 14 karat. And it was a medium, and I got it new old stock. It wasn't really writing well, and I wanted something more crisp. So I had this ground, and now it's a crisp italic reverse oblique. And this nib has quite a bit of softness and bounce to it. It's a very enjoyable writer. Piston filler. This is from the 90s. All right, next is a Mr. Pen. Now, this Mr. Pen is a Parsons Essential. They're no longer being made, but whatever is left in stock, they're still selling. It's brass with piano lacquers, a very lovely pen. And it came with this number 5 italic nib, which I'm very fond of. However, this pen has a uniqueness to me in that it happens to house my Omas 555S gold nib. It's 14 carats. It's a lovely writer. And so for that reason, when I have to choose between a pen body that can hold one nib, I have plenty of italics. So I tend to put this Omas in. Let's see if I need to flood the feed or if it's gonna, okay, it goes. I'll flood the feed. This pen, the Omas one, originally came with an ebonite feed. The pen body is no longer usable, it's broken. So I have to use the plastic feed that came with this pen instead of the ebonite one. So it doesn't really keep up with this pen's capabilities. It's a fine. So as a result, I flood the feed so that I can do flex writing with it. If I don't flood the feed, it will railroad and not keep up. But it's a lovely writer. I really like this pen a lot. It has a nice weight to it. It threads and unthreads extremely nicely. I wish they were more accessible. They're actually priced nicely, but the price of shipping and importing it and all that just is a deterring factor for me. But if you're interested, definitely grab them before they're all gone. Next, this is my regular kind of purse pocket carry pen. It's a cross. I got it at Staples on a whim. It was on clearance for $10 after the holidays, and I thought it was just very aesthetically beautiful. But it was a medium nib, very bulbous, and I didn't have much use for that. So I, don't enjoy writing with it, in other words. So it was actually just yesterday. I was cleaning this pen out and inking it back up, and I got a little brave or crazy or something and decided to try a custom grind on it. So it actually turned out acceptably well. I have no idea what model this is or anything. It's a steel nib. It was a medium. And now it's a architect of sorts. And it came out writing and fairly smoothly, and it was an interesting process. So now I can enjoy using this pen a little bit more. All right, we're on to the next page. All right, next is my one and only Leonardo. It's a Leonardo Momento Irid in a steel nib. It's a fine. I think the resin is beautiful. The blind cap I don't usually use, but I really originally got this pen because it has a number 6 Yovo that you can take out. And my aspiration at the time was that if I liked the pen, I would get a gold nib in a number 6 Yovo. I'm not sure where I'm at with that. I have this cleaned out, and I was thinking of maybe selling it or trading it, or maybe even still getting a gold nib for it. So that's why it's not inked up. I'm just kind of thinking about it right now. It's a beautiful pen, and I really like it, but I'm not sure that it's like a favorite. So that's why it's where it is. And the reason it's not a favorite is, I suppose, because I don't find it's not an uncomfortable pen, but it's not the most either for me. It has a steel nib and it's resin. So those are the things, that I kind of account for. If it's a resin, it has to have a gold nib for me to find it more enjoyable. The steel it's just a nice pen. So that's where that's at. Next is my Pilot. Where'd my little card go? There we go. This is the Pilot Custom 823 with a vac filler. So my first and only vac filler. It is such a comfortable pen. This was originally a medium. I got it secondhand with a Cursive Italic, and now I have it custom to a crisp Cursive Italic. It's a 14 karat gold, and Matthew Chan did this for me. The Portland Pen Show. So, very enjoyable pen. Really enjoy it a lot. It's so comfortable. And I'm thinking about adding a reverse oblique on this, but I'm not sure yet. Thinking about it. All right, next. My first and only sailor. So, this is, I usually post this, it's more comfortable. This is a Autumn Sky. And this was a zoom nib. And Mark Bacchus did the grind on this for me, and now it's a hybrid architect with a reverse ultra extra fine. So with these architects, and the hybrid architect is less sensitive to the angle, I asked that it be very crisp, and indeed it is. Thank you. These architects are usually for writing in caps. That's where you see the line variation the most, but I really enjoy it. And the reverse, I really enjoy it with the line variation it offers with cursive writing as well. So this is not really an everyday writer, but I very much enjoy the uniqueness of this pen and this nib. I have a video on that too for a little bit more detail and looking under a loupe with it. All right, now a Pineider. This is the Pineider Avatar, and it comes with a beautiful quill nib. One of the most beautiful nibs. I just absolutely love it. And this is a 14 karat extra fine quill. I was thinking originally of having this ground down finer, because the finer the better often for me, but I'm enjoying how the grind was done as far as the perfect amount of feedback so much that I think I'm just going to leave it as is. And when I first got this pen, and if you see the review too, I didn't really consider it a flex pen. But now, after writing with it, specifically with a more proper ink, I don't know, I guess I was just using whatever ink before when I did my pen reviews, and I'm trying to be more consistent with using something as a baseline like the Waterman Serenity Blue. And now, watching the performance of this pen with that ink, I mean, yeah, I think that is a flex pen. It does a fine line and then a broader one, and it bounces back. The snapback is not exceptional, but it's there. So it's a very pleasant, even if you're not flexing, the bounce that this pen has is so enjoyable. If you like that kind of experience, of course. I've had a lot of people say that they don't like how, I think people describe it as mushy, soft nibs. So this is all personal preference, but I like that it's a magnetic capping, very comfortable in the hand. Love the weight to it as well. Okay, this is my last pen and the most recently added, and this is a Viscontina. It's a little bitty, nice size nib, and check out the grind on that too. It's almost like an architect. But it's a celluloid, an Arco Burgundy celluloid, and I'm very fond of it. Oh, I'm running out of ink. All right, I just refilled it. It has this adorable built-in pool push with the matching celluloid. Such a cute tin. Built-in piston converter, I suppose. But I usually just keep this inked up with First Wheel Press's Candy Marsala. So let's try this again. Ah, much better. Okay, this is how it normally writes. It's a medium. It's a 14 karat, and it has, like, again, that kind of architectish grind to it. Quite wet. So, and I have a review on this as well. So yeah, if pretty much, yeah, I think all of my pens I have reviews on. If there was a pen that you were particularly interested in, do check those videos out so you can get a more in-depth dive on any particular pen that you might be interested in. But yeah, that is where my collection stands at the moment, and I'm really enjoying them. We've got the Toronto Pen Show coming up, Scriptus, at the end of this month, October of 23. So curious to see if I'll be able to trade or sell any pens, and if I'll acquire any new ones also. But I'd like to thank you for watching this video of my fountain pen collection as it stands now. And I've really been enjoying my fountain pens. I hope you enjoy yours too. And whatever your favorites may be, and whatever you may use your pens for, keep enjoying them. Thank you for watching, and it's all up to you now.